All right, welcome to another episode from the Chart Reader. So we will take a look at the weed sector, looking at the normal tickers, and really a couple things are on my mind right now. So there was an interesting Canadian tariff headline that I think came up yesterday. Clearly, weed is not going to get tariffed, right? It's not like this is a traded commodity, right? But I don't know if new Canadian tariffs are going to scare some people, given the fact that really most of these are somewhat Canadian companies, if not entirely Canadian companies, right? I think I would have probably expected MSOS to do a little bit better, and it didn't. So I don't know if the Canada thing is as important or not. Because again, in my head, if the Canada stuff scared people from the Canadian tickers, they would have flooded here, right? Instead, we actually kind of see the same red day right here. So I don't know what to think about the Canadian tariff news and the sector itself. But look, really at the minimum, there's been some decent momentum here. The issue obviously is we're still under the moving averages, and really there's a good amount of disjointment on the sector, right? I see Tilray trying to escape some moving averages. Really, we just saw MSOS. This thing's trying to escape a couple moving averages. Those look the same. But then I look at CGC under all the moving averages, right? I look at ACB under all the moving averages, right? High tide, I would say this one was trying to escape and then fell back, so maybe it's in the first bucket, not the second bucket. But there's a little bit of disjointment, and I don't like that in any sector, right? Like everyone should be going up, everyone should be going down. It's about unison. So that little break is bothering me. And then overall, look, I am happy that the indices are doing well. When the Dow Jones is up and away and going up and away from all the moving averages, that's a beautiful thing, right? When the S&P 500 looks exactly the same over a resistance line, when the Nasdaq, when all the indices look good, my baseline assumption is everything should be good, right? Now, I said this in the Discord, and I think it was Coleman that very quickly said, "Hey, look, that's not what this sector does," right? You can see this thing's basically going down as the Dow Jones is basically going up in the same view, right? So I 100% agree that normally it doesn't happen here, but I'm at least here with my baseline thinking if the indices are good, these should be good too, right? So you got to balance the rules, right? Nothing's set in stone, but I got to assume good things are going to happen when the ocean is calm, right? So really, I think it's twofold here. Number one, let's see what the market thinks on Monday about the Canadian tariffs in general. All right. Number two, let's see what they think about the Canadian companies in the sector. Again, there are no new tariffs that are going to come into this sector, right? This is not a nationally traded commodity, right? So it really doesn't matter. And then I think overall, the last thing's going to be getting the unison together. I need CGC to get over at least a couple moving averages, right? And those other ones that we saw too, right? Like they all need to start attempting, all right? And then simply put, if we can get over the 50 moving average, that's a lovely channel right there, right? You can go from potentially 40 something to 50 something, almost 60, right? That's a pretty big, almost 50%, 40% move right there, right? So interesting sector, really good indices, interesting news. Let's see how it all balances on Monday, all right? So, before we go any further and I give you more of my thoughts and opinions, what are we going to do? Same thing we always do, right? We'll take a look at the daily and the weekly to see how these things are setting up short term. We have our five moving averages. There aren't any, but I'll draw a couple more. But I do make horizontal support and resistance lines manually myself. And then when we are done up here, we'll use the MACD, RSI, and volume as our lower indicators. Hey, really quickly, if you can, please subscribe to this channel. Share this video online with your friends. Comment good or bad if you disagree. Look, anything you can do helps so much with these YouTube algorithms. But for real, just being here, giving me your time, oh, I'm so grateful for it, all right? So, I like this view actually. I'll zoom in and talk about the immediate, but I think and actually let's just zoom out just a little bit more. So this is the beginning of the year. This is the entirety of 2025 so far. The easy thing to see is that we've never been over the 8 and the 20 good enough. right? We've essentially been under the 8 most of the year. We've been over the 8 a couple times, but very quickly that 20 moving average becomes this difficult line that, hey, we'll get over but can't confirm and lose. We'll get over but can't confirm and lose, right? And that's been the story of the year. The 8 and the 20 has been crazy difficult on Tilray, all right? I think the other thing that I'm seeing is volume. All right, volume has been bad. We see way more red days than green days in terms of buying, right? There's more days selling than buying. That's what that red green means right here. And then really, we struggle to get over the 50-day line, right? All I'm asking is for you to be average day of volume. That's a C student in a classroom, right? We can't even hit the C line, and that's not a good thing, right? So obviously I don't like more red than green. I think you can make the argument that we're starting to see a little bit better buying than selling ratio, right? What was, I mean, a horrible, horrible view all year. I think you can say there's been more green than red in the month of June right there, right? Again, the issue still kind of is that 50-day line. I'm glad we're at least on the line than under it more days than in this month, right? Like we've only missed it a couple times. We just need these big ones to be green, not red, right? Not other way around. So I think I'm seeing some better volume. Obviously, I talked about in the opening thoughts, we're at least seeing a couple day attempts in this month too, right? We didn't really see that over here, right? We would get like little random pop and like little random pop. That's a decent 4-day run. That's a decent 4-day run. I like the progression of improvement, right? We still need more before we're happy, comfortable, and rah rah, let's go, right? I think a line worth drawing. What does this look like? That's not a bad line right there. Let me see what it actually looks like to the bottom of that. That's a little lower than 50%. I think I'm going to take that line right there. Look, obviously different risk reward tolerances, right? The 50's all the way down here. I don't know if it's worth waiting for this line right here. Let me actually do this. What does that look like? That's the line to draw. And in fact, that's the line to draw. It's 2 cents different, but I'm okay with that. So we got the bottom of that guy, half of that guy, bottom of both of those. I like this 45-cent line. To me, if Tilray can get over 45, that's when I'm going to love this stock, right? We got the 100 moving average all the way up here at 58 cents, right? You break the 50, you're going to go to the 100, and that's a beautiful channel with red, 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 nothing, 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 a potential green, 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 right? Otherwise, if we can't get over 45 cents, that basically means we never broke the 50 moving average, and you know that's the bad thing, right? I would easily say game over under 38 cents. If we lose 38 and start to slip into 37, we're just going to continue back down into all-time lows, all right? So it really is about getting over 45. It really is all about the 50 moving average breaking. But I think at the minimum, I like the couple strings of good that's been a complete opposite of the entire year, right? That's maybe the closest one to it, right? Maybe that single one right there, and then nothing remotely close to it, right? I like that this happened. Clearly it failed, but it's trying again relatively immediately, and that's a good thing, right? So not quite bullish here. I would say I'm a little more bearish than bullish in all honesty. I don't like using those words either. You know that, right? But I very, very much love this thing over 45 cents, all right? I think what bothers me a lot is CGC looking so differently than Tilray. All right. There were videos where I was starting with CGC and then talking about Tilray, right? There were videos, and you can kind of see it. April, this thing crushed it, right? We just saw Tilray was in a complete downtrend almost the entirety of the year, right? So the fact that CGC went from this lovely awesomeness to all of a sudden one of the, I don't want to call it the bad tickers, but nowhere near as good as the other ones because it's under all five, right? So it's a unison. It's sector strength. I don't care if we're looking at AI, quantum, this, that, or whatever. We want the tickers to do the same thing. And I've always said that these are kind of, in my opinion, number one and number two, right? When number one and number two are not in unison, let alone four, five, six, and seven, that's definitely when I get a little upset. And again, what always bothers me is if the Dow Jones is doing well, if the S&P 500 is doing well, if the NASDAQ is doing well, it really extra bothers me. And I know that's not good grammar, but that shouldn't look like this. You know what I mean? So I don't know if it was because of this earnings. I don't know if there was some news. I can't put my finger on it. But look, at the minimum, I don't even think this line matters much. I won't delete it. Yeah, we'll delete that line. What I'm going to do is I'm going to raise it to that. Let me see. What is that? Yeah, we have to take it to that. Let's take it to that. Basically, the top of that. If this can get over a buck 50, I think CGC would be worth a consideration. Otherwise, look, at this point, I gotta believe that we're gonna probably come down to maybe a buck 11, if not even a dollar flat. I can see I'm clicking on 102 right now, but yeah, I can see anywhere between 111 and 102 being the next target, unless we can come to that 151 line. Look, the other thing to note is this has four moving averages really close. When too many moving averages are together, I call it a tornado. You go up and down, up and down. It just sucks you in and out, almost not even up to the stock. It's just you're not in control. So maybe we're just gonna kind of oscillate around this line until we see something big. But yeah, I either see 111 or 1 on the way down. Otherwise, you break 151, and that's when I'm going to start liking things. But I think the easy thing to say is what was the better stock only a month or two ago clearly is not anymore, right? We got to get back over some moving averages. And really, once number one and number two, Tilray and CGC, start to look more in unison, I think that's going to help the whole sector make that same unison move, right? So let me know your thoughts. Let me know your opinions, even if you disagree. Let's come into the next tranche. So SNDL, look, this is another one where I think two things. We've been talking about this death line for a while, right? CGC lost my original death line a long time ago. It happened right here in the beginning of the year. Tilray lost my original line a long time ago, basically that same beginning of the year, right? SNDL had never lost it. This was that original line that I've had for a while that's based on a lot of bottom points, and it never lost it. It's starting to look like we might have lost it. All right, we're clearly under all five moving averages. We have red over green, right? We have green under red on both the MACD and the RSI. MACD is already negative. It looks like it wants to go more negative. And where I was saying I like the Tilray volume, clearly volume's been really bad here, both missing the white line and way more red days than green days. Oh, I think my thing froze. No, there it goes. So yeah, SNDL is looking real tough. I would put this in the ACB and CGC camp. If I was to give a line, I mean, look, the bare minimum is it has to get over 130. Truth be told, I wouldn't even want to touch this under my death line. I think you got to get over 137. How far up are you? Yeah, that's not bad. Maybe you can say 133. I can see 133 being an important line to get over, and I think if you get over that, that's an argument for good entry. But yeah, that 137 has proven to be a pretty good line, and get over that is what I would say. ACB, man, I think ACB is one of the more disappointing ones because what went from a really good earnings right here, I think another really like there was some good earnings on ACB over the last like year window. I don't know what happened right here. I don't know how bad that earnings was, but clearly something was not liked on the 18th. That is when the earnings came out, and oh my goodness, what was over all the lines and loving it, what was coming up to the resistance line with lovely resistance lines above it. Oh my goodness, I say it all the time, and this is the perfect example of it. Earnings will destroy really good technicals or make them that much better, right? This thing was on the line over the moving averages, positive MACD, very healthy RSI. Look at the volume. Volume had stabilized from this crazy pop. It was right there. If there was good earnings, these would have all obviously been green and it would have smashed up into the eights probably if I had to guess. Instead, it comes right like it's earnings are the craziest thing, right? And maybe this is what caused a little bit of that disjointment. Maybe if this one was able to do well, maybe all the other ones would have kind of followed, right? I really don't know, but oh man, maybe I should have started with this one. I didn't know that the earnings thing was right there, but yeah, there's look, by no means would I put ACB in the top, five. I don't know. Again, these are just my opinions, right? I remember in the 20 teens, ACB was definitely a top three, top four. I think that's an easy comment to say, but yeah, I would say this had strong technicals. If it hit good earnings, I think that would have been the tide that lifted the other boats. Instead, this was the crash that probably hurt a couple others. You know what I mean? So, when was this day? The 18th. Give me a second. CJC. That was the 17th, not the 18th. SNDL. That was also the 17th, not the 18th. All right, maybe it's not the ripple that I thought it was, but hey, again, I'm just here taking educated guesses. You let me know if you disagree, right? So, if this can get over, if this can get over 447, all right, you can call it 450 if you want. There's a decent reason to think it'll go up to 5. That's a decent channel between there and there. That's a lot of red, 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 green, green, green to red, red, red to green, 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 right? It's going to be really hard to get over 5. You got 3 of the toughest moving averages right there. You're about to get the 4th one probably in the middle of the week, if not by the end of the week, right? I'm just guessing the slope. 450 to 5 is actually a pretty good 10%. That's not bad right there. I'm never here to throw away a double-digit gain, right? But just know that 5 is going to be really hard to get over right there, all right? Let's wind this one out with MSOS. And again, I said this in the opening thoughts. I'm going to say it one more time. So Trump made an announcement that there is no more trade talks with Canada, right? They were trying. He got tired of it. He's going to open up some new Canadian tariff sanctions, right? So in my head, that might scare some people from these Canadian wheat tickers and maybe drive them to the US tickers, right? That's not what I'm seeing on this MSOS chart, right? And I don't know when the news dropped, but it definitely did nothing on this anyways, right? So I don't know how much that opinion is worth just yet. Obviously, we want a second candle to kind of confirm things, but I am still looking for that on Monday. I want to see if people rush out of Canadian tickers into this US focus ticker in the same sector, right? Volume jumps in sectors. That's a very, very normal thing, right? Otherwise, hey, this is at least tried to make that same little like how do I word? Oh, actually, you had a pretty good run in April as well. So I assumed this was going to be like Tilray, where there wasn't a good run all year. This thing actually had a beautiful April. Clearly nothing since, but okay, that took me off guard. I'll be honest with you. Look, I think at this point it's going to be the same Tilray comments. This needs to get over the 8 and the 20. If it could get over, I mean, that's the easiest line right there is 230. If you get over $2.30, I think there's a real good ride to 250. I'm kind of guessing the slope here. It's probably going to be, oh, that's where we're at already. Okay, I think 260 is a fair target if we can get over 230. I think you break 230, we'll probably go just over the 50. That'll probably reject us, and I think that would happen around 260. And then from there, if MSOS gets over 260, the next line up is 360. And really, the 200 is actually just a little bit higher, right? So that's the real money line. I think if this can get over 260, I'll probably draw that. If we can get over that, just look at it. Red, 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 green, 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 red, 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 nothing, nothing. With the beautiful break the 100 to the 200, that is a beautiful $1 channel right there on a stock that only has 2 of them, right? So that's really what I'm looking for. Very, very much game over here if this goes under 220. All right, so watch that volume jump if it comes. Otherwise, yeah, I would still kind of focus maybe elsewhere until we can get over that 260, all right? Let me know your thoughts. Let me know your opinions, even if you disagree. Let's wind it out with high tide and some interesting things going on here, all right? So It wasn't that long ago we were over this golden line, making an attempt at three. I remember making a video not that long ago actually saying that the yearly chart was setting up pretty well, right? Like that was a good yearly candle after last year's little random doji right there, right? So there was good coming into the year. Unfortunately, right? It hasn't hit by any means, right? We've basically gone down all year, right? So, big reason I like short term thoughts instead of long term thoughts. It gives me more chances to adjust. But where are we at right now? Obviously not in a great place, but I think I see a little bit of good here in some ways. So we looks like just had earnings on the 16th. All right. Again, I really wasn't paying attention to the sector. Clearly, if earnings were bad, if earnings were anything like ACB, which had them basically the same day, if not right around the corner, right? This would have been the exact same reaction. All right. So to me, the fact that high tide by no means did that, very much held the support line, all of a sudden is trying to go back up, that's a solid thing right there. Because keep in mind, earnings actually happens when we're under all five moving averages, right? Number five was up there. This candle right here puts us under the other four, right? So that would have been a real easy place to say, oh my goodness, and red, 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 green, green, green to a real scary red, red, red down, right? So holding that line, holding the moving averages, especially after earnings, very, very good in my eyes, okay? From there, look, I don't like it when you have too many moving averages. It is really hard, and I keep saying it. You go up and down. It's just this crazy little tornado, right? But get me over the 100. That'll take us back to the 200. Hopefully, that momentum with earnings happening not 2 weeks ago, that could be a decent thing, right? And we would basically be retesting that 250. This stock has been about this 250 line for a good while now, and that's still what we need. Get this back over 250 USD, and that's where I'm going to start thinking good thoughts. At the minimum, I like this hold. I like the earnings not crushing this thing, right? And that was a scary doji the next day, right? Again, some people thought it should go, some people thought it should die. It's closer to the go than the die, to say the least, right? So, what's our money line? Maybe this. Oh, that's basically what we wick too. Yeah, it's 236. Break 236. I think we'll reattempt 254. Break 254, and that's what matters, right? Where are we on the weekly? Again, all the moving averages are here on the weekly, right? So, and look at that. You break 254, you're breaking all the moving averages on the weekly. You break 254, you're breaking all the moving averages on the daily. That's a beautiful thing. That's a very, very important golden line. Normally, excuse me. Normally, my golden line is all-time highs, and clearly that's not what this one is, but that's going to be a real critical line for high tide, all right? Let me know your thoughts. Let me know your opinions, even if you disagree. Oh, I appreciate you so, so much.